All right, Piero, thank you very much for coming today.
My privilege, thank you.
I know you're serving as associate editor for many journals, and journals involve reviews of papers and conferences as well. So I'd like to ask you, in your view, what constitutes a good review of a submitted paper?
Okay, well, the review process is of course of the utmost importance for the communication of scientific knowledge. So it has to be done very, very carefully and taken very seriously. And for that reason, it has to follow certain standards. They can vary a little bit journal from journal, but the basics are the same. And so it's very important at the very beginning to give a summary of the content of the paper, a clear one, short and incisive, and then very important for the associate editor, who is in the end in charge of deciding upon the fate of the paper, is to clarify if there are some relevant research questions, and I emphasize relevant, that have been answered in the paper. And of course, relevant and original. So this is extremely important. It has to be new work. Right. And of course, we always build on the shoulders of somebody else, but it must be also very clear this element of originality with respect to...
So the review has to state what is new and what is relevant. In the
exactly, exactly. And another word that we often use to, let's say, synthesize the value of scientific research is archival. It has to have archival value. What does it mean? It means that we believe that what's being analyzed and discovered and documented in the paper has long-standing value. So, and it's very important as a reviewer, this is always what I suggest to my younger colleagues, to step into the shoes of a reader. Huh? So if try to, as a reviewer, to think, okay, if I'm a reader, what is my take home here? Is there something valuable that I can learn from this paper? If the answer is yes, that should be very clear in the review report. On the contrary, if any of these elements are absent from the paper, it's very important to state clearly why the paper doesn't comply with one of these requirements.
So what I hear you saying is there needs to be a very concise, clear summary of the paper, then clearly state what's new and relevant in the paper, and then make your recommendation for or against either journal or conference acceptance, and state your reasons why, or and so on. Anything else?
Would that also very, very important these days, clarity of communication. So I see that unfortunately very often neglected in some journals, but I think a comment should be made about the clarity of the structure of the paper and of the writing. It is imperative to write in good English. Right. That's the language that everybody has chosen.
Paper as well as the review itself.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely, yes. Of course, we talk also of reviewers' fatigue and associate editor fatigue. It's very important communication is clear. So take your time, write carefully, short sentences, consequential. That's very important.
Okay. Before we move on to another topic, any final words on the review, or is that?
Yes, maybe it's not needed, but I would like to emphasize again that in science, some ethical issues are involved. So it is extremely important to know what ethics is, and for instance, to evaluate the work of others in an unbiased way. That's a very good point. It's extremely important.